My name is Gerardo, and I've been working in marketing for over 10 years now, with a very heavy focus on B2B marketing for enterprise software. I guess that's where my specialty lies. I started my career, I graduated uni and did my bachelor back in 2005. I graduated high school, so I finished my bachelor degree in 2010, and I'm actually an industrial designer. That's what I studied at uni, and that took me into strategy. Like, I was very passionate about strategy, understanding how people consume information, how they consume products, and that's right after I graduated from uni, I started my own consultancy using design thinking as a methodology after working a couple of months with IDEO. So that was super interesting. It was my first take on entrepreneurship, and I did so many mistakes. I was fresh out of uni, but it was a really good learning experience for me. And it gave me a little bit of a taste of what building a business looks like. I did that for 2 years and then moved into advertising. I worked for a massive advertising firm called Lowe. Now they're called Mullen Lowe Group. I think they're part of Publicis. And I did that for 2 years before moving to Australia. I was doing more brand strategy and packaging design. I had a team of designers working for me, and worked with really cool brands like Unilever and Red Bull, Mazda. It was a really good experience. That was 2011 and 2012, and that gave me a little bit of an insight of what marketers do, and what marketing life looks like. So my clients back there were marketers, and I was really curious about their jobs and how they work with brands. So that I made the decision then to study my master's degree, and that's when I moved from Colombia, where I'm originally from, to Australia. I came to Australia in 2013 and did a master's at the University of Technology, Sydney, UTS. And then I started. That is where I really started kind of getting into the grinds of what marketing looks like. I was fortunate enough to land a job at Adobe. This was a really exciting time for me joining Adobe, because I could really see the combination of all the creative things that they had and the history that they have. And they were working really hard into building the the marketing cloud, after the acquisition of Omniture. So I will spend there 4 years of my life working very closely with sales teams, helping them get into massive businesses across Australia and New Zealand. So I worked with the top 4 banks and entertainment companies, media companies. That was a really good learning opportunity for me. And after 4 years, I thought it was time for me to go into something new. So I moved to Google, doing a very similar role to the one that I had at Adobe, but obviously in a new company. I met new people, trying to understand new processes inside Google. It was a really good way for me to also tick that box of working in a big tech company. Not that Adobe is not, but obviously Google is one of those employers that everyone would love to have in their CV. So that was great. And then I got approached by another big tech company, not as big as Google, but still very big in the US, called Mindbody, and they sell booking and marketing software for the fitness and wellness industry. And they offered me a really good opportunity to start a marketing team for Asia Pacific. They were going through this massive expansion period after being acquired by a private equity group called Vista Equity Partners. And they injected a lot of cash trying to get the company to expand globally out of the US. And they were growing a team here in Sydney for Asia Pacific. So they offered me that position, and I joined that team in 2019. So that's kind of the journey so far. And as you know, Laura, I then joined Antler in June, because I've always had this entrepreneurial kind of bug in my head. I love what I do. I love working for all those companies, but I was always one of those people waking up and saying things like, I know I can do something for my own. I want to start my own thing. So that was something that it was always in my head, and that's what I'm working on now. I think I've been very fortunate to have not received a lot of bad career advice. I've had the fortune to work with incredible people leading me. So I've had incredible coaching throughout my career. I guess one of the top things in terms of best advice, I actually learned this from my dad, and I saw him doing this while I was growing. Is always stay curious and try to have multiple. I guess where I'm going is trying to be resourceful and not to settle. So that's always kind of sparked in me the idea of, even though I'm doing great in this job, I love it, what else can I do? How else can I grow? So constantly looking into the sites and seeing what else is out there for me and how can I achieve that, how I can become a better person, a better professional. So that's one thing that I've always kind of have in my DNA, and I think that comes from my dad. The other side, the bad advice, probably is not bad advice, but it's a bad practice that I didn't like in some of the interactions that I had with people before, is micromanaging. I absolutely hate it, and I recently I just feel like you should not treat people like little kids in a professional environment. And unfortunately, that's something that you see a lot. So I try to stay away from it and honors people's choices and way of work as much as possible. That is not a linear process like a lot of people think, especially when they're young. You graduate from uni and you're like, oh, this is my path. I'm going to be there in 10 years. And these are the things that I need to take to get there. It's so unpredictable. And there are so many variables that you come across in a day-to-day basis that can change the direction. And I think that's so beautiful, because that means that you can have the possibility of making the journey as diverse and not boring, I guess, for the lack of a better term, as you like. It's not a straight line between point A and point B, like many people think. Sometimes you have highs, you have lows, and you have to be comfortable with the idea that in order to get to point B, it might take some time and many challenges that you didn't consider from the beginning. And it's all right. That's why it's so important for you to surround yourself with good coaches and kind of see what other people's journeys look like, so that you don't feel like you're alone and that it's only hard for you. It's like a lot of people have gone through the same hurdles and highs as well. So it's being comfortable with that idea is super important, and I wish I knew that when I was younger. Ultimately, for me, and I say this a lot, it's all about the journey, right? If you don't learn to enjoy the journey, you're gonna have a really, really sucky and bad time, because you're gonna feel like you're not getting anywhere. So the destination is awesome, and you always want to have that clear vision of where you want to go, but you have to enjoy the everyday, the journey, the high, the lows, and just ride it. I think at the beginning of my career, I was too rushed, and I was expecting things to happen fast, and like earn big bucks fast and get to manage people fast. Like I was being very naive at the beginning. fortunately, I didn't make any mistakes, like big mistakes, or I was not an arrogant person, I believe, or anything like that. But I think that led me to some days of like frustration that I could have like saved by being a little bit more patient. I think my parents have been incredibly prominent in my success, because they've encouraged me always to be resourceful, to look at possibilities, not to settle without being greedy. Like, there's a difference between not settling and knowing that you're about to be on a comfort zone, and being greedy. It's not about being greedy. It's about like looking to your sides. What else is out there? What else can you do? How can you grow? Having plans A, B, and C. If plan A doesn't work, then what you're gonna do is plan B. If plan B doesn't work, what's your plan C? Like, being really strategic in how you build possibilities for yourself and how you grow. So that's been key, I guess, in my success. I mean, I moved to Australia in 2013 without any connections. I completely started from scratch, and I believe I've done a really good job in building what I've done in the last 7 or so years, having worked for these amazing companies and now starting my own business. And I think that thing that my parents kind of put in my brain since I was a little kid has contributed a lot into that success.